Today's video is going to be all about the newest fragrances within my collection. So if you want to find out more, then please keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are visiting. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I already mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be all about the newest fragrances within my collection. And we have a new backdrop. Please do let me know your thoughts on this newest backdrop. Don't worry, my old backdrop is still going to remain on my channel. I just wanted to mix it up a little bit and give some more variety. Now, when I film with this backdrop, I'm actually going to take the perfumes off the shelf when I need to speak about them. I normally would already have them curated to one side. However, if one of the fragrances is directly behind me in the video, I will pick it out when I need to use it. So now I've got that out of the way, let's get started on the first fragrance that is new in my collection. First up, we have a new release from Floral Street, and this one is called Sweet Almond Blossom. And when I first saw this being teased on Instagram, I initially was so drawn to it because of the packaging. It's so incredibly beautiful, and it is in the Vincent van Gogh collection. Now, the notes also really drew me in once they were teased and released out. It has apple blossom, pomelo, passion fruit, vanilla, tonka bean, and I was like, I really need to try this. I wanted to add more Floral Street perfumes to my collection for the longest time. I currently only have Wonderland Peony. I do really like Arizona Bloom. I like Wild Vanilla Orchid, but the notes of this one were just calling out to me. Now, I've only worn this once. I actually wore it to my best friend's baby shower, and on initial impression, it has a very similar opening to Wonderland Peony. Very tart, very sweet, and very, very juicy. The notes are quite different. It's just how I initially perceived that opening. Then they do dry down very differently. But this is a sweet fragrance. You have to absolutely enjoy it sweet to probably get on with this. And that pomelo and that passion fruit is really, really tart and juicy in the opening. You then start to get a little bit more of the apple blossom and then the vanilla and the tonka bean in the base. It's definitely a strong like at the moment, but it's not a love right now. But that being said, I've only worn it once. I need some more time with it, and I am happy to have it in my collection. So I will play around with this one a little bit more. Let me know if you would like to see a review on this one and if it does interest you. But yeah, that bottle really drew me in. Next up, we have two new releases from Kayali. And we have here Silk Santal and we have Velvet Santal. So I will start with Silk Santal. Now, I know I'm a little bit late to these reviews. I was on honeymoon when these launched, and then when I got back, I had seen quite a few reviews of these already. So I thought this time round I will sit with it a little bit longer and just see how I feel about them, wear them, and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to start with Silk Santal because I believe this one has been more popular of the two, or the more popular of the two. It's a sweet, sparkling, fruity floral with a little bit of vanilla in there. And it is the more feminine leaning one out of the two. It has notes of sparkling champagne, white freesia, pink praline, lush nectarine, sandalwood, and sugared musk. Sounds absolutely delightful. And when I was seeing the notes teased of both of these two, this was the one that was calling my name. However, I have some thoughts, so please stay tuned for my review of Velvet Santal next. So this definitely fits really well within the Kayali collection. It has that kind of DNA that is very familiar from the brand. I get a little bit, just a little bit of Deja Vu White Flower, and I also get a little bit of Vanilla 28, and I think a few other people have mentioned that. However, this definitely has a kind of sparkling quality which is coming from that champagne note. The nectarine is absolutely gorgeous, and I think it's why it's reminding me a little bit of Deja Vu White Flowers. I perceive it to be a brown sugar note in here, and I'm definitely getting the musk too. Very, very pretty fragrance. Absolutely could see this as a bridal fragrance too. And I do really think it's very, very pretty. But spoiler alert, I think Velvet Santal is my favorite from the two. I am still playing around with both of them, but I've definitely worn Velvet Santal way more than Silk Santal, which has really, really shocked me. But it is a really delicious fragrance, and I can see why so many people love this one. And I do think it's a strong release, but the Velvet Santal DNA is just calling out to me. So I'm gonna move on to Velvet Santal next. Before I move on, actually, I just wanna mention longevity and sillage. The longevity is around 7 to 8 hours on my skin with a moderate sillage. Next up, we have Velvet Santal, and this matte black bottle is something else. I really, really like this packaging. It has notes of jasmine petals, tea leaves, white musk, cedarwood, benzoin, and sandalwood. I absolutely love Velvet Santal. This is such a comforting fragrance to me. I've worn this way more than Silk Santal. It feels like a very Hailey fragrance, and it's definitely one of my favorite Kayalis in my collection, which is a big statement because I have quite a few from the house. I've worn this out for the day, I've worn this to bed, and I just find this really, really soothing. I think it's the combination of the tea leaves, the jasmine, and then it's got a really beautiful, creamy, woody dry down. It's more subtle out of the two. It's not wow and in your face, but the first time I sprayed this on my skin, and I also sprayed it on my husband's skin, kind of let it settle, and out of the two, I preferred Silk Santal on first impressions. And then about an hour later, we were both really smelling the Velvet Santal. It almost warmed up on the skin, got more creamy, and that musk started to come out as well. And then that woody quality started to come out. I got more of the tea leaves, I got more of the jasmine. And I don't know why that happened, but we were both like, oh, okay. And that's when Velvet Santal quickly started to become my favorite out of the two. It definitely develops with my skin chemistry and just gets better. So I would love to know if anyone else has experienced this. Out of the two, yes, Velvet Santal is my favorite. This is the type of scent profile that I'm really drawn to. If you watch my channel, you will probably already know that I like my clean, kind of musky fragrances, and this kind of fits that bill, but it's then a little bit more woody. So yeah, that was my quick fire review of Velvet Santal. Do let me know if you want to see more detailed reviews on either of these two. I've got a lot of fragrances to get through today, so I'm going to move on to the next one. The next fragrance is called Cherry Prive, and it is from Vivamor. And I had a discovery set of Vivamor, and I was going through them all. And Cherry Prive really stood out to me. Now, if you watch my channel, you will know that cherry is not my favorite note. It has to be done in a very specific way for me to enjoy it in a fragrance, but Cherry Prive is a beast of a fragrance. This is sour, dark cherry. It's nutty. It's got tonka bean in here too. There's some cinnamon. So it's more of a spicy cherry fragrance, and I am totally here for it. There's also notes of rose, there's almond, there's cedar, amber, and sandalwood. To me, I perceive this as being a sweet, spicy cherry fragrance. I'm just gonna spray it because I just want to remind myself of the opening, because I remember the opening being absolutely delicious. Yeah, from that first spray, I am getting a spicy cherry. Lots and lots of cinnamon. I would have thought there was saffron in here too. I'm getting the woodiness. I do get a little bit of rose, but it's mostly cherry, cinnamon, tonka bean, and a woodiness. There is some amber in the base as well. Yeah, if you've been looking for a spicy cherry, I would 100% recommend checking out Cherry Prive. I personally haven't found a more deep and dark cherry fragrance, so this one pleasantly blew me away. Can't wait to try it a little bit more, but I had to mention this one, and of course it's a new fragrance in my collection too. Next up we have Creme Exquis, also by Vivamor. And if you like your iris fragrances, but complex iris fragrances, then boy, I have a good one to share with you here. It opens with iris, of course, I've already mentioned that note, but it is much more complex than just being iris. There's also some honey in here. There's a chocolate note, but I perceive it to be more like dark chocolate. There's caramel, there's orchid. We've got a dark cherry, we've got some cinnamon, and we've also got some vanilla. If you like fragrances similar to Maison Crivelli's Iris Malacan, you need to check this one out. Same family, still very different. This one has a lot more going on in the composition, but it is truly, truly magnificent. It opens very much with iris. It also pulls a little bit like orris to my nose. I definitely get the dark chocolate accord. It's listed as chocolate, but I perceive it to be dark chocolate because this isn't overly sweet. I'm getting the cinnamon. I'm getting a dark black coffee note. There is some vanilla, there is some sweetness from the honey, but I will say the more powdery notes are front stage and center to me. There's some chocolate, there's some coffee, you've got oak coming through, there's the cinnamon, but that iris note definitely remains through the life of the fragrance. Add that to the gorgeous dark chocolate and the coffee. I don't know, this one just blew my mind when I sampled it. I think this one is versatile enough to be worn all year round. It doesn't lean too much in one direction, at least for me. So yeah, I can't wait to start wearing this one. Please do let me know if you want a more detailed review of either of the Vivamor fragrances that I've discussed today. I've also got two others in my collection, Reserve Exclusive and Ultimate Aphrodisiac. Really, really impressed with all four of these, so highly recommend checking this house out. The next two fragrances are from Alexandre J, and these are both Oriental Enigma. I have the EDP here and I also have the Extrait. Now I'm actually not going to review these in today's video. I feel like I need to spend a little bit more time with them first. Plus, I think I need a longer format to really deep dive into these fragrances. If you watch my channel, you already know I have Imperial Peacock, which I love from the house. I also really loved Oriental Enigma right from the start. And when I was picking which one to add to my collection first, it was a 50-50 toss-up between Imperial Peacock and Oriental Enigma. So this is a little bit of a teaser. Apologies for this, but please do let me know if you're excited to hear about these fragrances. Do you think I should do a standalone video or just add them in to a normal video but just spend a little bit more time on them? I'm probably going to review both of these on Instagram together and compare them. But yes, so happy to have the EDP and the Extrait. And how cute is this bottle? Oh my gosh, it's so dinky. I think it's 25 mils, but yeah. Wow. Next up, we have a really cool fragrance from Hima Jomo, and this one is called Spring. They have 4 fragrances within their collection, and you might have already guessed it's spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And this house is so aesthetically pleasing to me, but I also really love the concept behind the brand. Now, this fragrance is extremely unique. I do not have anything like this in my collection. It smells very natural, but at the same time kind of otherworldly. I think just because it is so unique in composition. In essence, it feels like I'm in nature, but there's beautiful florals around. There's also an earthiness to this, and I'm getting a very realistic earthy note. I've sprayed this earlier, so this is the dry down. Yeah, very earthy. I'm just going to do a fresh spray so I can get the opening again. Where's the sprayer? It's so unique. I know I've said that so many times, but I honestly can't put this into words. It's more of a feeling. I'm getting strong florals, but at the same time, it's grounding me to the earth. There's geranium, tuberose, iris. Even my nose doesn't know how to describe this one. There's a tarragon note in the opening. We've got white ginger lily, galbanum, vetiver, papyrus, and moss. I'm definitely going to have to spend some more time with this fragrance because I want to be able to give you a very clear and concise and in-depth review. But I'd highly recommend going and looking this one up, especially if you want to try something that is very different from probably anything that you own in your collection, but at the same time smells really natural and it's very, very comforting. So that was Spring by Hima Jomo. And last but by no means least, we have a fragrance from Granado, and this one is called Jardim Real. It's an uplifting, fresh, citrusy floral fragrance. It's a little bit musky. It's definitely an everyday type of fragrance, very timeless, very classy. And Granado as a brand, I think it's a very classy brand. It's been around for a long, long time, which is probably why this smells so timeless to my nose. It opens with a burst of citrus. I'm getting mandarin, I'm getting bergamot, but there's also a little bit of pink pepper here in the opening too. And then I'm getting some orange blossoms start to come through. The jasmine starts to come through. There's a creamy magnolia too. It's a little bit musky. It's a little bit woody, but in essence, it's a very uplifting, light floral fragrance. Best for everyday wear. It's not beast mode by any means. I just need to spray some in the air. Yeah, this is the kind of fragrance that I would just grab when I wasn't sure what to wear. I wanted something likable, light, easy, fresh, musky, even great for fresh out of the shower. It would also be amazing for bedtime. I really, really enjoy this one. It's again within that clean aesthetic vibe, but just a little bit more floral. Really, really enjoyable. I think this one would be a hit for so many people. If you have tried Jardim Real, please do let me know down in the comments because I think this is such a fantastic fragrance. I can't wait to explore it a little bit more, but yes, I really, really like this one. So that was all of the fragrances that I wanted to discuss today. Please do let me know down in the comments if you would like to know anything else about the fragrances mentioned or if you do want more detailed reviews. But what I want to know, and it's what I always want to know, is what are the newest fragrances within your collection? I would love to hear what fragrances you have been loving and what fragrances that I personally need to check out. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much and goodbye.